Well, hello everyone. I'm Sibyl Starr, and I'm here to give the astrology forecast for the upcoming Leo new moon, uh, which is on July 24th. But first, there are a couple of other things I wanted to talk about first that are also significant before we get into the energy of the new moon. So, what we have first is what is called the heliacal rising of Sirius, which happens every year between July 26th and August 12th. And so it's when Sirius rises before the sun. It's called the heliacal rising star. It's been hidden for around 70 days due to the light of the sun. And this is when the normal flooding of the Nile would occur back before the Aswan Dam and started the Egyptian New Year. It is the second of the major holidays associated with, or holy days associated with Sirius. One is when the sun is in alignment with Sirius, which occurs on July 6th this year. And this also starts the beginning of the preparing for the Lion's Gate. The Lion's Gate is like the one of the other major holy days in relation to the star Sirius. It is when the sun and the earth are closest to Sirius, and this occurs on August 8th. I should say that part of this heliacal rising period. The Lion's Gate portal, 8-8 portal, is the opening of a galactic gate that delivers high frequency energy into our beings, allowing us to rebirth our spirit energy and the spirit energy of Mother Earth. And then the third important day is called this is the day after the new moon, which is called the Day Out of Time, which occurs on July 25th. And this is a quote from the 13 moon calendar from Jose Arguelles. It says, a timeless portal where no karma is created, no spiritual debts are accumulated, and your soul gets to experience pure, unburdened existence every day, on this day every year. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go right into the Leo new moon, which is super powerful. I'm going to share that chart with you. Make sure I've got it up here. All right, let's come over here. Okay. All right. So here is the Leo new moon. It occurs on July 24th, 2025 at 12:12 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. Pacific Daylight Time. So what we have here is we have the sun and the moon at 2 degrees 8 minutes of Leo. That is the new moon. It is opposite, very tightly opposite Pluto at 2 degrees of Aquarius. Okay, 2 degrees 36 minutes, and it makes what is called a cradle. And when I talk more specifically about the cradle, I will show you the actual astrological configuration. But what it is an opposition that then has a sextile. And here we've got Saturn and Neptune, sextile Pluto, and trine the sun. And then we come over and we have Uranus, which is sextile um, uh, Saturn and Neptune, and trine Pluto, and also sextile the sun. So what it is, it's an opposition. Then there's three sextiles: Pluto, sextile Jupiter and Neptune, sextile Uranus, sextile the sun, and then there's two trines. The sun and moon are trine Saturn and Neptune, and Pluto is trine Uranus. And it makes a cradle. It's kind of like a supportive structure to hold the energy of the transformation that is taking place. All right. And we also have Mercury is retrograde at 13 degrees of Leo. There is, and Jupiter is at 10 degrees of Cancer, and it's oh no, excuse me, 9 degrees 10 minutes of Cancer, so it's still conjunct Sirius B. And then we've got the nodes of the moon are activated. Of course, we know the north node is at 19 degrees of Pisces. opposite the South Node at 19 degrees of Virgo, conjunct Mars, and both of these are square Venus. All right. Okay, so that's what I think we're going to be talking about. There's one more thing that I did want to talk about that is really not related to the new moon specifically, but it's something that is going on for several months, and it's called a minor grand triangle, which is a triangle between a trine between Uranus and Pluto, with Saturn and Neptune sitting at the midpoint. It's called a minor grand triangle. All right, so now let's talk about what all this actually means. All right, so this new moon, new moons are always planting seeds, and the new moon in Leo is planting the seed of personal expression, heart centered courage, a radiant identity, a moment to plant intentions around authentic selfhood and soul aligned creation. That's with that, Pluto opposite the sun. Now, the Leo archetype, it's always good to know the archetype of where the sun is. And of course, the sun is in Leo and it's ruled by Leo. So it's what we say is home there. Their energies are very similar. So Leo is ruled by the sun, and it represents the divine light within each one of us. The sun in Leo and the moon in Leo say to let your light shine. It's a very loving, warm-hearted, and generous energy, joyful and creative. It brings out the inner child within all of us who needs to be seen and recognized for who we are. It tells us that play and creativity are soul food. Remember the sacredness of play, especially in difficult times. We can really shift the vibration and the energy around us into joy through play and laughter. So it's really important to take some time out to play. And of course, here in the Northern Hemisphere, this is summer. So make sure you have time for enjoyment and play. That's what this beautiful season is about. It brings the vibration of joy, which raises the vibration of the field personally and collectively. Physically, Leo rules the heart and is a very heart-centered sign. Leo is also the archetype of the king and queen or leader. So it is about being aligned with your inner truth. Leo rules the backbone, and we need leadership that has backbone, that doesn't cave to flattery. The shadow is attention seeking, needing to be the center of attention, playing to the crowd to receive love, basically giving people what they want and not necessarily authenticity. And so the sun and moon in Leo, this new moon opposite Pluto. In Aquarius, Pluto's focus shifts from personal to collective soul evolution. But on a personal level, it is still very much about deep authenticity of self. That's what it's really about. And how do we remain authentic while being in a crowd? Like we have a desire to belong, and and Leo has the desire to be loved. So often there is that potential to give people what you think they want instead of who you truly are. And Pluto challenges us to do that. And so it also brings deep transformation through collective systems, technological power, and evolutionary disruption. It reveals the shadow of the hive, the pull towards mass consciousness or groupthink that can breed dehumanization. And so it asks us, where do I give away my power? Do I give my power away to the group? Do I get in line and uh, not really honor my true, deep authenticity of self? Pluto in Aquarius urges us to liberate from mass consciousness, reclaim our own mind, and co create from authentic sovereignty. This is how true collective power emerges, not through conformity, but through coherence. Is that when we are all in the field of being coherent, in alignment, body, mind, and soul, and being authentic, we come together as our authentic selves, then we can create something really authentic together through coherence. It is creative regeneration, but first a confrontation with what has silenced or distorted the true self. This is the Leo new moon's gift as well. Coherence, courage, and the radiant heart as the ultimate technology. It is about the spiritual technology of the heart, of the spiritual technology of the awakened heart. The Leo Pluto axis brings the drama of transformation, the fire to become unapologetically you, no matter the collective storm. And in this day and age, that is really a challenge to be able. I know I struggle a lot myself, just my own experience as being a political independent, not really aligned with either party, and being and walking the path of seeking what is really true for me. And you may have that struggle as well as really aligning with what is true for you and not succumbing to groupthink or the hive mind. All right. Now, the planet Uranus, excuse me, mm, which is the ruler of Aquarius, entered Gemini on July 7th. And it will be here over 7 years, with a short backtrack into Taurus later this year, and then returns completely to Gemini in 2026. Uranus is the awakener, the disruptor, the liberator, bringing sudden shifts in consciousness, innovation, and cosmic downloads. In 2025, Uranus enters Gemini for a 7 year transit, sparking a leap in multidimensional awareness. This passage activates the mental field with light code, sound, and sacred geometry, intensifying both perception and nervous systems. Supportive practices like vagus nerve regulation, magnesium, and calming herbs can help the body integrate these upgrades. This transit supports the emergence of both outer technologies and inner spiritual tools. Telepathy, resonance-based communication, and nonlinear understanding of time and movement. And I feel like Uranus and Gemini is also bringing in an increase in light language, whether written or spoken, but whatever it is, however it comes in, it's the vibration, it's the frequency. You don't have to know what it means. I have a funny little story to share. I During a meditation one day, I started speaking light language, and I was dog sitting for my friend's dog and Luna. And as I was speaking the light language, Luna came over and put her head in my lap and would not leave. I told her, I said, Luna, go sit down. I want to finish this. She wouldn't leave until I completely stopped the light language. At first, I thought maybe she thought I was in pain, but that really wasn't it. It was really the vibration, the frequency. And I heard someone else share this story of when they did sound therapy. When they started singing. Oh, I know what it was. It was a video I saw of a musician singing and how the horses just came over and were loving on him while he was singing. So, it is the vibration. And I feel like there's going to be a lot more of this. And just to finish my Luna story, she just looked at me with so much love. I could see that she was just deeply in bliss. Okay. Anyway, all right. So, and we may also witness what we considered once mythic innovations becoming reality. It's already starting. I mean, there are places I've seen flying cars. I think China's got some flying cars and some other things, some frequency-based healing. I think that's coming up incredibly strong. We know Edgar Cayce and others have told us that frequency and vibration is the medicine of the future, and especially sound. Zero point energy and even sentient AI aligned with higher consciousness. Uranus and Gemini will also accelerate magical synchronicities, which are the breadcrumbs the universe provides to us on our path to show us the way. Synchronicities are really pay attention to synchronicities, and the breadcrumb spirit is leaving, because often that is how we are guided. Now, Uranus is also still conjunct the Pleiades, and now it's conjunct the major star of the Pleiades, which is Alcyone. Alcyone is known as the Great Central Sun or the heart of the Pleiades. It is a portal of divine remembrance, higher frequency intelligence, and also ancient Lemurian codes. Alcyone creates the photon belt, which we know that we are currently passing through right now, which is about a 2,000-year passage where we align with the frequency of the Pleiades and especially Alcyone. It perpetually radiates waves of high frequency light from this luminous corridor. This photon belt, also known as the photon band, is said to be composed of gamma light and encoded rays of higher consciousness that emanates from the star Alcyone. It brings with it rapid awakening of galactic memory and soul purpose, downloads of multidimensional truth, especially through dreams, light codes, and intuitive insights, reactivation of Pleiadian starseed templates, particularly for those who are called to be the transmitters of love, peace, and vibrational coherence. The Pleiades are said to be the keepers of the fifth dimension of love, creativity, and unity consciousness. And it is a frequency. And within this frequency, beings exist whom we call the Pleiadians. But it is a frequency that we can tune into. And that's what we are tuned. And we are Earth is very tuned in to the Pleiades right now because of being in alignment, because not only Uranus being in alignment with Alcyone, but because our whole solar system is traveling through the photon belt, which is aligned with Alcyone. Okay, it can bring with it sudden shifts in perception and timelines. And also, this is something that has apparently been noted throughout history, that when planets are in alignment with Alcyone, there is increased paranormal activity. All right. So it's a very powerful time, increased light codes, and you might be feeling increased fatigue or even increased irritation because the frequency is shifting and we are adjusting to it. And it shows us any places where we might have energetic obstacles or cleansing that needs to be done. All right. Now we're going to talk about the cradle pattern. All right. So I want to share this with you. Okay, let me make sure I've got it up here. I do. Okay. All right, it's a small image, I know, but it was the best one I could get. And so, because this is almost exactly where they are. So what we've got is this would be this would be the sun and the moon in Leo, opposite Pluto in Aquarius. And then we've got the three sextiles, the Pluto, or let's do it this way, the sun and moon sextile Uranus, Uranus sextile Saturn and Neptune in Aries, and they being sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. And there's also two trines that really add support to the cradle. You've got the sun trine, the sun, Saturn and Neptune, and Pluto trine Uranus and Gemini. So this is the cradle pattern. You can see it's a supportive structure. All right. Okay, so now let's talk about what that actually means. So the cradle, once again, is formed when an opposition is flanked by two planets or points in sextile and trine to each other, creating a kind of bowl or supportive hammock structure in the chart. From the opposition, this creates a container for the transformation that is happening between the sun and moon opposite Pluto, the transformation of authentic self, of being able, having the courage to share your heart with the world, your true authentic self. It is a bridge for the integration of that energy and a pathway for activation from the sextiles. The bridge for integration comes from the trines, and the pathway for activation comes from the sextiles. It holds tension without collapse. It allows the individual or collective to work through profound change in a supported way. As we know, Pluto digs deep, revealing shadows around visibility, power, and identity. The sun and moon in Leo ignites the new self, not as performance, but as authentic creative radiance. Uranus delivers clarity, insight that cuts through illusion. And Neptune and Saturn offer structure for the sacred, turning soul knowing into embodied living truth. This new moon is an initiation. You're being asked to step into your own becoming, not to dominate, but to radiate your light. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs clear, coherent signal of the awakened hearts remembering who they are and daring to live it. Okay. Exactly right. I love that it is the clear, coherent signal of the awakened hearts remembering who they are and daring to live it. Okay. All right. All right. Now we also have Mercury retrograde, and we know Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year for 3 weeks at a time. It always shows up whenever we've gotten ahead of ourselves. And so first off, Mercury, is god of the mind, is in Leo. And so Leo enhances communication, making it more expressive and confident, often leading to passionate conversations and creative ideas. This period encourages individuals to showcase their talents and take center stage in social interactions. The shadow is it can be dogmatic with the need to be right. And as we talked about, Mercury is retrograde, telling us to slow down. We've gotten ahead of ourselves. Mercury in Leo retrograde can bring misunderstandings and social engagement glitches. Things may not go as planned. So it's really important to be aware of that. If you're planning something during this time, and what did I say it was? It's retrograde from July 17th until August 11th. So that is the time. Yeah. July 17th to August 11th. All right. Um, Things may not go as planned, but it is also time for increased focus on creative pursuits. That's really where I think, what this is saying, where it's important to spend your time is on creative pursuits that don't need to go as planned to be so they can open and be what they want to be. All right. Next, we have Jupiter in Cancer, conjunct Sirius B. And of course, we know Jupiter, is known as the Santa Claus or our guardian angel, brings opportunities and blessings. I mean, it has a bit of a shadow if we can get overextended or over exaggerated, but mostly it brings opportunities and opens doors if it impacts your chart in some way. And of course, we say that it is, what is the word? It likes to be in Cancer. It's exalted. That's the word I'm looking for. It's exalted in Cancer, really likes to be in Cancer. And what it does is, and Jupiter always expands whatever it touches. And Cancer is so much about the heart, expanded heart wisdom. And especially with this Leo new moon, which is also about the heart. Cancer is about the emotional heart. Leo is about the spiritual heart, I would say. Okay. And so Jupiter in Cancer expands the emotional heart, emotional wisdom, intuition, inner guidance, and also brings with it a focus on family, home, and loved ones. Now, Sirius B is it's the small dwarf planet that orbits Sirius A, and it is said to be a water world, and it's where the dolphins and the whales emanate from. And it is said to give us, during this time, we may have access to spiritual technologies that are stored in the ocean, oceanic records, um, things may come to light that have been hidden, let's say around Atlantis, Lemuria, just about anything, things in the water. Okay. And also increased communication with the cetacean elders, the whales and dolphins, who are the physical emissaries of Sirius on Earth. Okay. All right. And they are also masters of frequency, sound healing, and unity consciousness. It is really expanding the whales kind of like hold the grid of love, of unconditional love here on Mother Earth. Whereas the dolphins bring us joy. They light us up, they make us laugh, they remind us of the importance of joy and play and laughter. but they both work with sound. They're sound healers. And also, Sirius B is deeply connected to Lemuria. And many people are having memories and dreams of Lemuria through dreams, sound frequency, and emotions. Okay, so it's a really beautiful energy. Now, one of the challenges here is we have Mars in Virgo at 23 degrees, tightly conjunct the South Node in Virgo. And that would, of course, make the North Node in Pisces, while Venus in Gemini squares them. So, first off, Mars in Virgo seeks order, improvement, and excellence. It wants efficiency. Okay. And it does things well. It takes its time, but it really wants perfection. And of course we got to let go of perfection, but it wants things done well. And it's conjunct the South Node. And the South Node is what we're letting go of. It's what we no longer need. And so it reveals what is no longer working and not bringing the results you want, and what is not aligned with your intuitive guidance. It's like Virgo can't, it gets so caught up in the details and perfection that it kind of loses the bigger picture and why they're actually there. And so the North Node in Pisces is about our intuitive guidance. And so it's about opening your vision to be able to see the bigger picture of why you're even doing what you're doing. Mars and Virgo can get so lost in the task, they forget why they're doing the task. Okay. And it can ask the question, are you fighting old wars out of habit, or is there real life left in this battle? Mars can bring up the battle, the fight. Okay. And Venus in Gemini, which is square this, and a square is a challenge. But first of all, Venus in Gemini is flirtatious, curious, and fun loving. And in relationship, Venus in Gemini needs stimulation for the relationship to stay interesting. Venus wants lightness, experimentation, and to move freely. And so it's trying to open up the stuck places with the Mars South Node, where it is stuck in the task of what needs to be done, or we're doing this because it's how it's always been. Whereas Venus asks, where do I need to let go and trust the process, inviting beauty and dialogue instead of dogma or withdrawal? Or just simply being so task oriented, not allowing yourself to enjoy life. Okay. All right. Now, we've also got what I had talked about was the from August to November 2025, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto create what's called a minor triangle of transformation. So during this period, Uranus trines Pluto with Saturn and Neptune at the midpoint, forming sextiles to both. And it is a harmonious configuration rich with dynamic potential and evolutionary support. Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini, both air signs, act as the structural pillars, amplifying breakthroughs in consciousness through communication, technology, and expanded mental paradigm. This energy feeds directly into the Saturn Neptune in Aries, which is at the midpoint, seeding a potent birth canal, one that may catalyze a redefinition of life, creativity, and our very understanding of existence itself. This energy is very much about giving birth to a new identity. And I feel like that new identity is not just is for ourselves, but it is a collective identity. And so what keeps coming to me, and I'm going to share it, and I've probably shared it before, but I want to share it again. It is about coherence. This is what keeps coming through to me. Coherence within ourselves. And as we are coherent, coming into coherent groups to really birth the new human and the new earth. And so I just want to give you a little history first. So just as an example, back in the 1980s, there was something called the global heart coherence. And I think it has happened more than once. where people meditated, not for peace, but as peace. As Greg Braden says, if you want rain, be rain, feel the rain. If you want peace, we must be the peace. And so this was a heart math experiment that showed that coherent hearts entrain chaotic fields. The data revealed measurable shifts in crime, conflict, and even solar activity. This is the forgotten technology of the mystics. Emotional resonance as geomagnetic influence, spiritual technology. Uranus in trine with Pluto means the veil is thin and the signal is amplified. A small group in coherence can now do what once took millions. And not by controlling events, but by inhabiting the frequency of love and unity consciousness. And especially with the Saturn, Neptune in Aries at the midpoint, I think it's the whole configuration that it is a potential for a collective shift tipping point. And I've been hearing people talk about this a lot more, and I'm certainly feeling it in the field. Pluto will be in a trine with Uranus actually for a full year, and Uranus and Saturn and Neptune will be there part of the time, creating the minor grand triangle. But Pluto and Uranus will be in a trine for over a year, working together to support us to move into heart coherence. Small groups working together can have great impact. And the Leo new moon as well, I believe during this time is extremely important. Coherence, courage with the radiant heart as the ultimate technology. And the true technology is when enough hearts beat in resonance, the field flips. This is really the collective shift, the tipping point. It's time. We can make it happen. If we are in coherence ourselves, which means in alignment with our heart, mind, body, spirit, in alignment with our true authentic self, not the self we're showing to the world or what we do to get love. It's when we are our true authentic selves aligned with our hearts, we come together in small groups, we can really make things happen. Okay, so as the new moon stirs the cradle of possibility, we are reminded that true evolution begins in the coherent heart. And we could call that the awakened heart, the coherent awakened heart. When we attune to love, not as sentiment, but as resonance, we see transformation in the collective field. In this moment, it is your heart's coherence that becomes the catalyst, every heartbeat turning the collective to the next level of awakening. Shine bravely, for as our hearts synchronize, the world itself is invited to ascend. All right. Just take a deep breath and take all of this in. It really is the power of our hearts working together that is going to birth the new world and the new human. And so, if you like this video, please check like and subscribe. If you would like a reading, my information will be in the description box below. So, wishing everyone a wonderful month, many blessings, and namaste to all. All right.